Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Haribhau Waghere, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Maharaja Jivajirao Shinde, Mahavidyalaya Srigonda, District Ahmednagar. Our college is affiliated to Savitribai Phule University of Pune. The main aim of this video is only for educational purpose. If you want to see more videos, visit to our college website and Dr. Waghere's biology channel also. And in the last time we have discussed some points about the FIBSc paper number 2nd, that is plant morphology and anatomy. In that paper we have completed first credit, and in second credit we have started the anatomy. In that anatomy we have completed permanent tissue, simple tissue and different types of tissues, then glandular hairs and many other trichome, stomata, that is epidermal tissue is also we have learned. And in today's video we are going to start a new article. That new article is a internal organization of primary plant body. Means when we take the transverse section of root, stem and leaf, then how it looks like, how that internal cells or how that internal tissue that are organized and how they look like, which are the different arrangement of the cells and tissues inside that section. In this lecture we are going to learn about that points. Then we know that apical meristematic or apical meristem occurring at the tips of the axis. It may be of root axis, it may be of stem axis, and root and that tips divide and produces new cells. We know that. Then in the course of time these tissues become permanent. After some times they become permanent and the fundamental body of the plant laid down. The fundamental body that laid down, and the tissue deriving their origin from a apical meristem are called primary meristemae or primary permanent tissue, and the permanent primary tissue again it made into primary permanent tissue, and that is known as a primary plant body. मग आपण त्याला नंतर प्रायमरी प्लांट बॉडी म्हणतो. आता प्रायमरी प्लांट बॉडी कोणते असतात माहिती आहे आपल्याला? रूट टिप, शूट टिप. देन इन डायकॉट आपल्याला माहिती आहे, इन एंजियोस्पर्मिक प्लांट देर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ प्लांट्स, that is dicot plant, monocot plant. And when particularly we think about the dicot and especially roots, in that dicot root system is a tap root, we know, and it having a secondary and tertiary branches also, while in monocots the roots are adventitious. त्याला आपण जाळीदार म्हणण्यापेक्षा तंतुमूळ म्हणतो मराठीमध्ये. And in dicot stem the profusely branched, while monocots it is unbranched. When we take the example of jawar plant, feet plant, there is an unbranched system. But in dicot, take an example of hibiscus, take an example of mango, take an example of Aja directa indica, there is a branching, there is a branched system. And in dicot leaves, take the example of hibiscus, that is a dicot plant, take an example of mango, that is a dicot plant. The fans that are a reticulate fenation pattern, while in case of monocot what happened, the fenation pattern is parallel. Take the example of leaves of jawar, leaves of feet, take the example of different grasses, monocotyl grasses, and they have parallel fenation, we know that. Then what is the internal structure of dicot root, how it looks like, which are the different points that are made up of internal structure. Then we know that when we learn about the internal structure of dicot root, we are taking the example of sunflower. The Helianthus is the scientific or the botanical name of that plant. We should know, we must know, when we learn something about the plant, then we know the first scientific name of that plant. And you know, generally sunflower, it exhibit plan of arrangement of tissue from outer epidermis to the center of the organ. Then which is the outermost layer? First is a rhizodermis, that is also known as the epiblema, that is also known as the epidermis, that is also known as the piliferous layer. In this way there are 4 words to express the outermost layer, and this is the outermost uniseriate layer with thin walled cells. That wall of that cells is very thin, and the cells are closely packed. That cells are closely packed, parenchymatous, without intercellular spaces. There are no intercellular spaces. The cuticle and stomata are absent. In that epidermis, there is no cuticle, there is no stomata, and some epidermal cells develop into unicellular hairs called root hairs. We know that on the root there is no stomata, there is no trichomes, there is no cuticle. Therefore, it is also known as a piliferous layers. Pili means hair. Root hair absorb water and minerals. We know the function of the root hairs. It absorbs water and minerals from the soil. Then another point about the internal structure, that is cortex. What about the cortex? It is a parenchymatous, homogeneous, thin-walled, loosely arranged cells. Loosely arranged, thin-walled, homogeneous side, parenchymatous side. And these cells may be spherical or oval in shape. दोन शेप आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये, एक स्पेरिकल आहे, दुसरा ओव्हल आहे. And they have intercellular spaces. त्याच्यामध्ये intercellular spaces are also there. And these cells contain leucoplast. Is another distinguishing characteristic feature, that is a leucoplast, and they store starch in the form of starch grains. What is the function of leucoplast? They store the starch grains. Okay. Then another point is endodermis. Inner to the cortex there is endodermis. It is the outermost layer of the cortex which surrounds the stele. That endodermis surrounds the stele. It is composed of barrel shaped cells. We know barrel, पाण्याचे बॅरल माहिती आहेत सर्वांना, त्याचा आकार कसा आहे, बॅरल सारखा आकार आहे. बॅरल शेप सेल्स, पॅरेन्कायमा सेल्स, and these cells are without intercellular spaces. त्यांच्यामध्ये intercellular space नसतो. And most of the cells except those lying opposite to the protoxylem point possesses strip-like thickenings of suberin and lignin on their inner radial walls, which are known as the Casparian strips. Means in endodermis there is a Casparian strips are there, and cells lies opposite to the protoxylem elements are thin-walled and are called passage cells because this allows passage to water from cortex to the xylem. These cells give passage, and the cells of endodermis acts as a watertight jacket around the stele. It is a watertight jacket around the stele. Then what about stele? Which are the characteristic features of that stele? It is a tetrarch. Tetra means 4, arc means sides. There are 4 sides with 4 xylem bundles alternate with 4 phloem bundles looking star shape called actinostelic protostele. Protostele, actinostelic protostele, 4 xylem, 4 phloem, looks like a star shape. Then steel is composed of pericycle, fascicular bundles, conjunctive tissues and pith, means steel have a 4 to 5 different types of cells. What about vascular bundles? Vascular bundles are radial type where xylem, phloem bundles are placed in different radii. 4 patches of xylem alternate with 4 patches of phloem. Then what about xylem? It is with metaxylem vessels toward the center and protoxylem toward the periphery. So, xylem is exarch in nature. Xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma are absent. Few tracheids are found present around the vessels. And what about phloem? What about phloem? It lies alternate to xylem patches on separate radii, separate radius, radii. It consists of sieve tubes, companion cells and phloem parenchyma. Phloem fibers are absent. There is no fibers in the sunflower. Then what about conjunctive tissues? These are parenchymatous in nature which lie in between patches of xylem and phloem, and some of these cells become meristematic during secondary growth. And last is a pith. What about pith? Pith is made up of central, compactly arranged, thin walled and parenchymatous cells without intercellular spaces. In this way, in today's video, we are going to learn about the internal structure of dicot root. In that dicot root, we have taken the example of helianthocyanus, that is sunflower. In that sunflower, we have studied different points. In that different points, first is the epiblema, that is also known as the epidermis, that is also known as the pili. Then second point, we have learned about the cortex. In that cortex, we know that there are two types of two shape cells are there. One is a oval shape cell and another is a circular shape. Then endodermis, what about endodermis? In that endodermis, we know that there is a steel. And what about steel? Steel is a tetrarch, means xylem bundles, phloem, 4 xylem bundles is there and 4 phloem bundles are there, and they are alternate with each other. In this way, when we learn about the vascular bundles, then the xylem and phloem is there, and xylem is toward the center and protoxylem toward the periphery. So, xylem is exarch in nature and xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma are absent, and few tracheids are found present around the vessels. And what about phloem? We have learned about it lies alternate to the xylem patches on a separate radii. It consists of sieve tubes, companion cells and phloem parenchyma, and there is no phloem fibers are also absent in that phloem. And what about conjunctive tissues? They are parenchymatous in nature, which lies between patches of xylem and phloem, and some of these cells become meristematic during secondary growth. And last point, or the innermost part, is that is a pith, and it is made up of central, compactly arranged, thin walled and parenchymatous cells without intercellular spaces. There is no intercellular spaces in the pith region. In this way, in these short videos, we have learned about the internal structure of dicot root. If we want to see more videos, please visit to our college website, and also Dr. Vigres Biology channel. This video is only for educational purpose, and that video is only created due to this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic all over the world. There is a very hard situation of this COVID-19 and we are trying to solve that problem. We have to make this video. Thank you.